Content warning. On this podcast, we discuss sensitive issues, including, but not limited to, swearing, tasteless jokes, situations of a sexual nature, and drug use. This podcast is not intended for children.
Hello and welcome to Bibliotomy, the bonus episode for Bibliorex where we read a good book and we get to gush and have lots of fun. I'm Bugs.
And I'm Lily.
And you are our new guest today.
Yes, I'm very excited for a good book.
Yeah.
I haven't ever done a good book with you guys.
No, well, this is only like our second or third good book, I think.
That makes sense.
And you came on for the host.
Yeah, and that Christmas Kisses book.
Yes, the Christmas Kisses book.
Yeah.
So we get to do a fun, beautiful book today.
Yes.
We are doing The Naturalist Society by Carrie Vaughn. I don't think that this needs any content warnings. It's just a queer love story. If you're not in the mood for squealing and, oh, this is so sweet.
And if you're homophobic, get the fuck out. So.
Oh, yeah. If you're homophobic, we don't want you. Because, I mean, I guess you could listen to us for a while and not get the vibe, but we're pretty clear.
Yeah.
None of the isms allowed around here.
Right?
Our book opens in Manhattan in August 1877.
Oh.
So it's historical fiction with a fantasy twist.
Nice.
That I really, really love. We meet Harry and Beth, our main characters. Well, Beth is the main character that we follow through the book. She is in her parlor and she brings Harry her birding journals and she feels really excited and embarrassed.
Oh.
So she's a young, upper-class lady.
Right.
And birding isn't really a pastime.
Especially not for women.
Especially not for young women of a certain type of breeding.
Right.
But he's really interested, and he takes her seriously. Like, everyone else would be, oh, you silly person.
Yeah.
Pick a better hobby. You need to pick, something.
Why don't you take up sewing?
Yes.
Yeah.
How's your needlework?
You painted any tables lately?
Quote, she had made sketches of various plumage patterns, splashes of color, the caps and bibs, lines over the eyes, streaks on their breasts, bars on their wings, to keep them all straight. Harry was looking at that page now. He is in love with her work.
Aww.
He is amazed. He's so amazed, he just asks her to marry him. And she's like, wait, what? And she's like, are you serious? And he's like, you know what? I am.
He's like, yeah, I don't want to pay for your art. I want you to make it for me.
She is like, wow, no one has ever been interested in me
Aww.
or my work. This is the first man who's given her any kind of normal, like, attention in her, interest in her.
Yeah, and interest in her interests, and, like,
Yes.
being supportive.
And he is a member of the Naturalist Society, and he works in, like, scientific studies.
Right.
So he sees the value of her work and how good she is.
What year did you say this was?
1877.
Okay.
She accepts and is, like, trying to calm down, because this is very sudden. She doesn't know him very well.
Yeah.
They've courted just a little while.
This is like if I showed someone a really good picture of a bug these days. They were like,
marry me. Yeah. Yeah. And she picks up her cup of tea that's gone cold, and she heats it using arcane practica.
Ooh.
So if you know the Latin name for an animal, you can use some part of its essence to do a thing. And she thinks of the bright red plumage of a mandarin duck, Aix galericulata, and thinking of the bright red plumage is she sends heat into the cup.
Wow, that's crazy.
And Harry doesn't have this ability, but he knows a lot of people who do. And women aren't supposed to do this because it's not a gentlewoman kind of thing to do. But he encourages her and is like, yeah, you can do it. No one else is around.
Right.
And she's just like, I can do things, and he's okay with it.
Agency.
And he suggests an idea. He works at the Naturalist Society, and Beth could write articles and publish them under his name.
Okay, which is something women did historically, like...
Right.
Yeah.
They had a husband who was a scientist, and that's how their work got
Or
published.
they'd, like, put their initials in, and there you go.
Yeah. And she's really excited, and she's also really scared. Quote, What if someone found out? Her heart raced at the thought. To be exposed, her reputation tarnished. And what did that mean anyway? I had a cousin, a distant cousin. She wore trousers and hunted with a rifle, and her family finally had her declared hysterical, locked away, and I never saw her again. There had also been whispers that she'd been an arcanist, altering the weather and causing leaves to fall from trees. Beth never had the courage to ask what had really happened to her. And this is a real genuine risk for women who behave inappropriately according to society to get sent to asylums. And if you had a husband or father send you to an asylum, you couldn't get out.
And it wasn't hard to find a reason for it. They like come up with anything.
They could even lock you up if you failed to have children.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
You liked sex too much. You didn't like sex enough. There was
like, there were so many reasons. They could just call you hysterical, depression, any kind of things they could just use. And he's like, I will never lock you up. I swear, I will never lock you up. You will always be safe with me.
Get it in writing.
And she's like, trust him. And she's like, yes. Okay. So he kisses her and he goes to ask her fathers for her hand. We meet our second main character, Brandon West. He has this arcana magic as well. And he's doing a survey in the Arctic. So they're able to use these abilities to make themselves manage the environment better.
Okay.
And it's so cool. He is hunting a Pusa hispida, a ringed seal.
Oh.
And the whole book uses the Latin name and then followed by the common name.
That's great.
And she talked about, the author wrote how it changed over time.
Yeah.
Because some of these things changed. And she just put the modern names for everything because instead of trying to go with what was historical at the time versus now, that was the simplest, most straightforward way. But I knew you would really appreciate that.
Yeah, because it is, so many things are changing even right now.
So I thought that was great. Most of those people who practice this arcane practica hunt the animals. And then when they're able to hold the animals, they're able to, like, understand their essence.
Okay.
You can have some power by knowing the Latin name and, like, knowing what an animal looks like or having held its skin or seeing one at the zoo. But the way to really, truly absorb most of its powers is to have hold a living or just dead specimen.
Okay.
Like,
so
looking
it's
into its eyes as it's fading.
Yeah.
Is, like, the closest you
like
can get
seeing
to
the
most
soul,
of it.
kind of like...
Yeah. So he's hunting this ringed seal, and he's waiting at a air hole in the ice. And he's waiting for it to come up for air. Just as it's coming up, he freezes time for a moment, and the seal is frozen. And he throws a rope over its neck, unfreezes time, and he shoots it.
Okay.
So he's able to haul it up.
Right.
He's pulling it up onto the ice when he looks up, and a polar bear is charging at him.
Oh, God.
Because he's at an air hole.
The last thing you will see.
He has a polar bear's favorite meal on the end
with
of a rope.
blood, yeah.
He freezes. Like, he loses his practica, and he cannot do anything. And he hears 2 gunshots. His companion, Anton Torrance, stands a little way off with a rifle. So he, like, very nearly got completely
Oh my gosh. Sometimes
destroyed.
it takes, like, so many bullets to take down a polar bear, too.
Yeah.
Like,
I
that's...
think this was one, like, a really big rifle.
Yeah, like an elephant gun or something crazy.
Anton asks if Bran is okay, and Bran is. But he's also in love with Anton.
Oh!
And he's like, you just rescued me. Google eyes, but also, no, we can't be in love. We're 2 men in the 1870s.
Like, my savior, my best friend.
Yeah. They walk over to the polar bear, and Bran absorbs its essence, too.
Okay.
So he's, like, pulling all of this, able to survive cold water, able to, like, smell things far away.
That's crazy.
Able to see, you know, it's very cool. And they skin and butcher the seal and the polar bear, and then they return to camp. They've been waiting for their ship to come pick them up, and it's late. Because it's one of those where you get dropped off, and then it goes, and then it comes back.
Right, and they have to have favorable, like, currents and wind
they
patterns
have to
and weather.
have,
and...
you know, be able to get through the ice. Hopefully their ship didn't leave them behind.
Right.
Anton notices Bran limping as they return to camp. Bran has frostbite.
Oh, gosh.
Anton is a fantastic tracker and explorer, but he doesn't have this arcane practica. He's a very practical adventurer. He has the gun and he does the hunting. He knows how to start the fires and find the fresh water. He's just like your very excellent adventurer.
He's the very man of the land kind of guy, yeah.
They crawl inside their igloo, and Brandon lights the wick of their lamp with a touch. So similar to how she was able to heat up a cup of tea, they're able to create fire.
That's cool.
Anton takes off Bran's shoes and socks and gently scolds him for using Arcana to keep himself warm, because he was too warm and he started sweating.
Oh no, yeah, that's dangerous.
Anton massages Bran's feet and warms them up, and Brandon and Anton both feel desire for each other. Anton strokes Bran's legs and they kiss, and Bran hadn't realized that Anton also shared his feelings. I know. They're too tired to do more than snuggle, but Bran promises to do this properly when they get back home. They actually have a bed.
Yeah, seriously. It's not freezing cold.
It's hard going back to society because they're going to have hide whatever this is.
Right.
But also, it would be very nice to get back to a warm bed and warm water and
modern
food.
Amenities, yeah. Like modern-ish amenities.
Almost every chapter has a small section devoted to world building.
Okay.
I don't write those down because they're not around the central characters, but the world building in this book is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's so amazing. She'll talk about historical figures and then rewrites them around this arcane taxonomy. And so, like, Charles Darwin was an arcanist, but he went and also did all of the work on the island with the finches. And so she, like, gives these historical figures different powers and things. And it's just really beautiful the way she wrote it.
That's really fun. I have a fun Darwin fact for you.
Sure.
He thought he was sending back a ton of different types of birds, and they all came back as different types of finches, and he was mad.
Oh, no!
He was like, that doesn't make sense. And that's why he got on the whole finches thing.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. We do find out that arcane taxonomy was founded by Carl Linnaeus.
Oh, yes.
And that kind of helps establish her world building because it's Western men who have discovered arcane taxonomy. And through the book, we discuss how other peoples have these powers. It's just not in English in universities.
Right.
So it gets ignored. And she points out how other people also have these powers, but because it's not a white man writing it down, it doesn't get preserved or recorded or considered important.
So it's like really drawing a parallel to like the ignoring of
scientific value. Yeah. I just really love that. That it's so inclusive and also historically accurate in how this would have been treated.
Yeah.
3 years pass. I always kind of like get annoyed when books do that.
Yeah. Because it's like, well, I want to know what they were doing for 3 years.
Right. But we do kind of later get sort of flashbacks to this 3 years. Beth is sitting at Harry's deathbed.
Oh.
She knows a little bit about germ theory.
Okay.
But without knowing what's killing him and not knowing the scientific name of the bacteria, she can't do anything.
Yeah.
She can sit here and like wish she had a microscope, but even if she could see them, how would she know if that's what was killing him and how to stop it?
Right.
So she is just distraught. She wishes she could do something, and all she can do is cool the cloth on his forehead.
Right.
And, like, open the window and just wish. So she opens the windows and listens to the birds singing, and when she turns around, Harry's gone.
Aww.
A month passes of her just mourning and being numb, and Brandon and Anton go to visit Beth. They had worked with Harry, and they're very worried that she's going to throw all of his research out.
Oh, no.
Like, in their heads, she's a angry, exhausted widow, and she's just going to toss it all out on the street.
Right.
Bran feels like he's on a mission to preserve Harry's work.
Okay, yeah.
So, we already know what's been happening, and it's actually Beth's work that Harry is publishing.
Right.
They don't know this. Nobody knows. In their minds, it's Harry's work, and she doesn't care about it at all.
Oh, okay.
Brandon grew up in a farmhouse and does not have upper society manners. Anton is dark-skinned because his father is an English gentleman and his mother is a woman from the Bahamas.
Okay.
So our two men characters are in their own way not really accepted in higher society. One for being born poor and the other being born with the wrong skin color.
Right.
And I really love how each of her main characters has his or her unique challenge in their society in the 1870s.
Yeah, it sounds like she put a lot of thought into this book.
I know. It feels like just a work of love.
Yeah.
So much love is in this book. They go into the parlor and they try to ask Beth for Harry's work. She very firmly rejects their request. She's just like, no.
It's not for you.
And Bran presses and asks multiple more times. Quote, I could finish any essays he left incomplete. Harry was doing such good work, and I hope to extend his legacy. No, she said, even more forcefully. I'm sorry you've come all this way for nothing. And she is using Arcana to help herself stay strong.
Okay.
But he doesn't know this.
Right.
He is just getting this huge sense of foreboding and desire to run away.
Like, oh, polar bear, you said.
Anton gently asks if they can see the study, and Beth relents. Because Anton he grew up in higher society.
Right.
His father is an aristocrat. And also because of his dark skin, he has to be perfectly amiable at all times.
So he has, like, really good manners?
He has to use his social skills to get past people who see his skin color.
Yeah, like, he can't afford to be rough around the edges, kind of, like,
So he is very polished, and he uses his skills to be calm and kind and considerate. And she finally is like, they've asked, and she is like, fine, you can see his study, fine. They go into the study, and Bran is shocked that the windows are open and it feels alive. Like, this study does not feel dusty, musty, and locked up.
Right.
This feels like a study people use. It's full of books and specimens. There's cabinets and shelves, and there's papers everywhere. Like, obviously someone has been working here.
Yeah, this hasn't been, like, shuttered up after someone's death.
Right. On the wall is a migration map with glass-topped pins that shows the species and seasons of the birds they are following. So she has across it all of the colors of where the birds are found across the seasons.
That's cool.
And Bran wants that map because he's like, that's where all the power is. All of this information that he wants is in this. And he's just, like, lusting after all of these fossils and all of this information and all of these papers.
So kind of in this, like, world, like, knowledge really is power.
It absolutely is.
Yeah, okay.
In fact, the phrase is to name a thing is to know a thing.
Yes.
And then you use that if you have Arcana skills. That allows you to use it.
Okay.
And he has Arcana, so he wants that power.
Right.
Bran demands to know if everything is as Harry left it, and berates her when she says she'd been organizing it.
Bruh.
The audacity
Like,
of this fellow.
This is her house. You came in here.
But because he collaborated and had worked with Harry, he's assuming she has no right to touch any of this, and he's mad at her.
Right. How dare she sully this sacred space?
Right. And he's been, like, feeling really anxious, and she's standing there studying a barracuda skull. And Anton and Brandon are feeling really weird about the study. Like, something here is really strange. And Anton picks up an essay to read it, and he realizes the handwriting is not Harry's. It's Beth's. And then he looks around and realizes all of the writing is Beth's.
Whoops.
There's additions to these journals and essays that came after Harry's death.
Oh, okay.
And they realize that Harry had been publishing her work.
Right.
And Anton holds out a candle to her and asks her to light it. And she's like, the matches are over there. And he's like, no.
He's like, no.
And she'd never done Arcana in front of anyone else before, but she lights it. And they're like, ah.
Aha.
Quote, you're an Arcanist, Bran exclaimed stupidly. Lighting candles was the first practicum most arcanists learned. She'd hardly had to think about it. It came easily to her. He didn't want to believe it, but it was also clear now. The room, the lilies, she'd been trying to keep them out. He'd been in an arcanist duel without realizing it.
Oh my gosh.
And then he remembers how Harry couldn't ever identify birds.
Oh, like even the birds that he, like, was supposed to know.
Yeah, and how they would go hunting. Harry would question him, like, well, what are the names of these birds? And Bran would tell him, and he'd be like, yes, very good, very good. And he would just hide it, but he was not someone who knew how to identify birds.
Right.
But everyone just was like, oh, he's suddenly gained all these skills in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And nobody thought.
They're like, oh, he must have spent so much time studying these birds.
Yeah. And everyone just assumed he'd, like, develop these gifts. Nobody thinks to ask how or why he had finally chosen this area of expertise.
Right.
Because this wasn't his expertise before, but now it is. Everyone had been shocked when Harry left the bachelor life and got married. But it made sense now, because they're realizing, he saw her and realized how far he could get.
Yeah, for real.
Bran and Anton feel like dicks.
They should.
And they apologize, and they're like, sorry. Bye.
My bad.
And she begs them not to tell anyone.
Right.
Because she's terrified of anyone else finding out. She's an arcanist, and it was all of her writing. She doesn't want Harry's reputation to get ruined.
Right. Because even, like, as, like, a potentially, like, somewhat wealthy widow, you still have a reputation that you have to, like, hold on to.
And they don't want to, like, sully his name.
That's true.
They go home to their apartment and attempt to make sense of it all. Anton is like, should we tell?
They just blackmail each other into mutually assured destruction.
Right. Quote, she had stood up to him however much he hated to admit it. How had she learned without any schooling? She asked us not to. If she had wanted anyone to know, she'd have told already. Would anyone believe her? Anton said, his brows raised, the practical voice. There were stories about women arcanists, a few here and there, hardly worth mentioning, so no one did. Mrs. Stanley wielded power without anyone the wiser. And we're giving Bran the attitude that everyone has about female arcanists.
Yeah.
Right. And we obviously love him, and he's one of our main characters.
Right.
But initially, he is our expression into how men view women.
Yeah. And it's, like, very clear bias towards, like, essentially just writing them off. Like,
Yeah. And it feels like lying not to tell, but also they don't want to ruin Harry's reputation either.
yeah.
So they just kind of feel weird about it. They know, and there's nothing to do with that knowledge. They have a 2-bedroom apartment, and no one knows that they're more than business partners. But they've been lovers since they got back from their trip.
Right, because they were roommates, and...
They're just roommates. The famous only roommates. Right? The famous lifelong bachelors who preferred the company of gentlemen.
Yes. Women get in the way.
Right? They are planning an Antarctic trip this time.
Ooh.
So previously they were in northern Greenland
in
the Arctic, and now they're wanting to go to Antarctica. But now they won't have Harry's help funding the trip.
Oh, okay.
Because Harry was respected in the society, and he was able to help find people who would fund them.
Gotcha. So he's kind of like a backer, and he could find other backers.
Yes. Bran regrets not speaking to Harry and Beth at his last lecture that Harry attended. And they're both like, was she even there? Like, they have no memory of her as a person.
Oof.
Even though they had seen them together at a few times.
Right.
Harry was just, like, he was like the cardinal.
Yeah.
He had the bright red plumage who would strut about, and everyone saw him, and no one saw her.
Right.
She was the female cardinal with the drab feathers.
And they were both kind of using each other to,
to achieve this common goal. Anton tells him, come on, man, just let it go.
Right.
Just let it go, man. We shift to Beth's perspective. Once the door had closed on Anton and Brandon, she wilts from relief. Like, she was using all of her arcana just to keep herself upright and not crying. They had sent her letters and she had just ignored them, and she was so scared that they were going to show up with workmen and wagons and take all of Harry's stuff. And she couldn't have really stopped them.
Right.
And no one would have said she had a right to it, and they didn't.
Yeah. Like, even being married to the man didn't offer her enough,
Yeah. She goes to her garden, and Anne, her maid, brings her tea. She also realizes that Harry had kept Bran and Anton away from her.
Oh.
Maybe he thought that Bran would discover their secret and tell, because Bran is a naturalist. If they discovered her secret that quickly in the study...
Just seeing the handwriting and, like, a few other things.
It's possible Harry was like, these guys cannot meet her and know her, or they'll know.
Yeah. So it wasn't even just necessarily that he was writing her off. He was being purposely, like, kept, like, kind of distant from her.
From anyone who might notice.
Yeah.
Her garden, you would love her garden. It's a jungle of flowers, ivies, and birds. She has out nuts, seeds, jams, a potted thistle.
Aww.
And so she has all of these birds come in and like pluck the thistle fluff and like take it to make their nests. And, you know, these ones are eating this and those ones are eating that. And it's only like 15 square.
Right.
But it just sounds like a perfect little heaven.
Yeah.
And that's her place where she goes to feel better.
That's so cute.
I know, I love it. She recovers from the intrusion with her beautiful garden and her beautiful birds. And she kind of thinks about their trips to Appalachia with Harry, because she could go and see all of the rare plants and the rare birds. And no one would comment on her traveling because she was with her husband.
Right, yeah.
And he didn't particularly care about the things, but he was with her learning the stuff too. And so he just happily followed along wherever she wanted to go.
It's like me forcing Bam Bam on a hike.
Yes. Yes. Now she's like, that's gone. I don't get to go travel anymore. I don't get to go see these birds.
Right.
I don't get to go. And she had become so used to having this freedom and being unseen because everyone saw Harry. Everyone loved Harry.
Yeah.
And he was so bright and personable and charismatic.
And he was the one everybody knew.
And she was just able to go and just not have to talk to anyone, not have to be sociable. She could just focus on the things she loved, and he was like her wall around her.
Like an actual human shield against other humans. Like,
and now that's gone. Anne interrupts her thoughts by announcing that Harry's mother is at the door, the lovely mother-in-law. Beth says she's indisposed, but Anne worries that Mrs. Stanley will interpret that as Beth being pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
Honestly, almost the entire book is Beth wanting to be left alone and other people harassing her. That sucks. Mrs. Stanley sends Anne again, asking if she should send for a doctor.
Right. Oh.
Indisposed? Oh, she must be pregnant. Grandchild.
It's like, I'm expecting a letter. You're expecting?
And Beth is like, oh my God, I'm just wanting 2 minutes of quiet. Because these men had just come in and barged in.
Right.
And now this mother-in-law is barging in and
she
won't
just
leave me
recovered
alone.
from one intrusion.
Yep. Anne is like, I gotcha. And she goes back and deals with her because she's like, I don't care what you say. I don't want to deal with it today.
Yeah.
Just make her go away. Beth knows she's not pregnant, no matter how much Mrs. Stanley wants her to be. She just knows. We get a little bit more history, and I really love how she pulls historical figures and pulls the arcane taxonomy. And so she talks about like how it's used in the American Revolution and how these founding fathers had some of these abilities and they used them. It's useful for like hunting and tracking and in guerrilla warfare, things like that. I don't think I wrote it down, but like later in the book, Harriet Tubman had arcane abilities, and that's how she was able to always know where she was. She never lost anyone.
That's actually really cool.
She was able to like confound people when she was like a general in the Union Army. She was able to use her abilities to direct her troops. Like Sitting Bull had powers and things like that, and that's why that one battle got lost so badly to them. And so it's just really cool. Like Napoleon had bad had arcanists who were aristocrats who got up by being in cliques and knowing people, and it wasn't the merit-based in Europe. So, like, I just love how much world building and thought she put into it.
Right.
We shift to Anton's perspective, and he's our third main character.
Okay.
He and Bran arrive at the Naturalist Society, the Association for Scientists and Adventurers. They go through the crowd to the counter, like in the foyer, and they are recognized and admitted immediately because they went on their Arctic adventure.
Right.
And they came back with tales, and like Anton wrote a book, and they go on lectures, and so they're well known and well respected now. A man intercepts them and tries to hire Bran away from Anton to survey for minerals in Alaska.
Oh my gosh.
And they're like, what?
Thief.
Yes, because adventurers hire arcanists.
Okay.
It's the adventurers who are in charge of the expedition or
Yeah.
whatever it is, and then they bring on talent that they need to help them get to their goal. This guy tells Bran that no one has ever stepped foot in some of these valleys in Alaska, and Bran snaps back, no white man has ever set foot there.
Damn. Get him.
Because he has been to Greenland and he knows the Inuit are there.
Yeah.
And he also has Anton, who he cares about, who is not a white man.
Right.
So he has become more sensitive to this kind of thing. And Anton has to be like the one to pat his shoulder and be like, let it go. It's okay.
Easy boy. Yeah.
Anton is the son of Sir Archibald Torrance, who has a title but not a fortune.
Okay.
So he has aristocratic sensibilities and status and taste, but he cannot fund the trip himself.
Right.
Which is why they have to do fundraising and go on lecture circuits and do that kind of stuff. He'd wanted Anton to go to London and become a lawyer, but Anton wanted to be an adventurer.
Yeah.
And he also... It would be easier in England because they're not as racist there, but he would be under his father's shadow.
Oh, yeah.
So it feels like in America, people are more racist toward him, but he can make his own name.
Yeah.
He can be his own man. Brandon had grown up poor on a farm, and he got into Harvard on merit.
Okay.
So, like, he was able to prove himself through his arcane abilities in order to get into Harvard.
Right.
But he doesn't have the social graces. He did not have nice clothing. He did not fit in among everyone else. They mingle in the club, and everyone asks about Harry. And what a shame, because he was just the social butterfly.
Yeah.
Everyone knew him and loved him. Anton feels that arcane practica is unreliable, so he always plans his expeditions to survive without an arcanist. Because in his mind, yes, you can light fires, yes, you can do these things, but what if you die?
Right.
I don't want to die because I'm relying on you.
That's fair.
Yeah. Everyone wants to be the first to the Arctic and Antarctic poles.
Yeah.
Kind of a race among the adventurers and the different countries for who can plant their flag at the North Pole and South Pole. One man who wants to attain this glory is Montgomery Ashford, former P.T. Barnum showman turned naturalist. No! I love how our bad guy is like the perfect mix of evil. He was an arcanist who had used his powers to make a Fiji mermaid swim.
No!
I loved that touch so much.
Oh my god.
And now he's like having to work to be taken seriously as a scientist, but he's also still very much a mercenary.
Okay,
like, he's interested in using business money and business interests to grow in his career.
He's not doing this for the sake of science.
He does not love the science. He loves the money. Anton considers him kind of a charlatan and really doesn't like him.
I mean, fair. I agree.
And he's very much a showman. Like, he wants to be making a display
It
of
reminds
his powers.
me a little bit of like Gaston from Beauty and the Beast,
but more cunning.
Yeah.
Ashford is actually cunning.
Okay.
Ashford is working to fund his own Antarctic expedition because he wants to get there first and make a name for himself.
Right.
He does not have any cold climate experience, however.
Oh no.
He thinks that he can run an entire expedition just using Arcana.
That's so dangerous.
And Anton is like, no?
Right. It's like, what if literally anything happens?
Right. Ashford is promising exotic and exciting finds, such as the extinct great auk.
Ooh.
So everyone knows that the great auk went extinct and it was in the Arctic Circle. He insists it could have swam to Antarctica to avoid extinction.
No.
And Bran is like, you dumb.
This bird's so impressive.
And Ashford says all of these other birds migrate.
Yeah.
And Bran's like, he don't have wings.
They don't fly.
They don't fly. And it's like, you could find amazing new animals. You probably will.
Right.
You're not going to find the great auk.
Yeah.
It is extinct.
You're not going to find the abominable snowman. Oh, wait.
Bran is an authority on seabirds, and so Ashford is arguing with him to make a point that a new show is in town.
Okay.
Ashford is the one with new ideas. These other guys are old, and their stuff is so old.
Right.
Even though it was like 3 years ago. But that's old news. This is new. Bran challenges Ashford's lack of experience in the cold, and Ashford responds with arcana. Quote, he flicked his hand, and the flash of a firecracker, accompanied by the pop of burning gunpowder, sparked through the air straight toward Bran. Fairy stories would have called it elf shot. Bran calmly caught the projectile, squeezed, and opened his hand to let a scattering of ash fall harmlessly away. His expression never changed. Anton felt such a surge of admiration, his breath caught. Such performances made him want to ravish the man.
Nice.
Gentlemen, please, Andrew said sternly. Because even though all of these people have magic, dueling is really frowned upon because it's not gentlemanly.
In public, you didn't have an aside. You literally just shot this at the dude.
Yes, because he was like, you've never worked in cold weather before.
Right.
So they break it up and everyone's like, fine, and they go on their own way. On their way to lunch, Bran is fuming, and he asks Anton if he'd stop him from punching Ashford. Anton refrains from promising.
He's like, I won't say.
And then Bran gets an idea. Maybe he could write Beth and talk to her. Anton feels desperate to get Bran to leave Beth alone.
He's like, please.
He's like, please leave this widow alone. She obviously does not want us in her business. We move back to Beth's perspective. She receives a rejection letter from the editor of the Pen Feather, a magazine that had published Harry's work, but won't now because he's dead. She was hoping that she could submit ones that had been finished on his death.
Right.
And then she could submit a couple that were nearly finished with herself as a co-author.
Yeah.
And then possibly she could introduce some of her own work.
Like transitioning, yeah.
Slowly transition to the idea that she also was an ornithologist and knew what she was talking about. But her first attempt at even getting one published after his death was just completely shot down.
That's crazy.
And she's just really disappointed.
Yeah.
Because it was like 3 years of freedom to do all of this work and enjoy it so much.
And only 3 years. Like, that's not, yeah.
It feels like so short. His career was just now really taking off.
Right.
She knows that people besides wealthy white men practice arcana. When she was a child, their housekeeper had gifts that kept the mice away, milk unspoiled, and flowers fresh. Quote, what Beth did know, that arcane practices were more common than the university naturalists would ever admit. And Harry had been right all along. Her secret stayed secret because the men of the Naturalist Society would simply never listen to her. Mr. Endicott's letter proved that.
Wow, yeah.
And she's just like, this sucks, and this is where society is at. And that's one thing I love about this book is the historical accuracy to the attitudes of the time, and they're woven into the story as problems.
Yeah.
We don't ignore them, we don't pretend they never existed,
Right.
or...
We don't just have a magical fix to it, like, yeah.
And I love historical fiction that takes into account the problems of the time, and we integrate that and we use it as part of the story.
Right.
There's a pile of letters. Some are to Harry, but one is to her, and it's from Bran. She goes to open it, but gets interrupted. Anne informs her that Beth's mother and Harry's mother
Oh, no.
are in the parlor, and they said they'd wait.
They're teaming up.
The mother and the mother-in-law are teaming up.
Oh, my gosh.
She sits with them and has tea and cake. Her mother is wearing a hat with a whole bird on it.
Oh, my God.
A dove of some kind. Beth hates the addition of birds to hats.
Yeah.
She loves live birds.
Right. She's like, ew.
The milliner had told her mom that doves convey peace, promising arcana-like effects.
Oh, my God.
Because just like people are selling crystals now to give you peace and calm in times of anxiety,
Right.
the milliners are using Arcana to sell hats.
Of course.
Beth finds it ghoulish and wasteful. She's
Yeah.
like, this was a whole dove.
Right.
On what?
For why?
Why? Mrs. Clark, her mom, and Mrs. Stanley, mother-in-law, talk, but Beth just zones out. She is still deeply in her grief. It's been like a month, and they're just making small talk, and it's like blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
She wants to escape to Central Park and birdwatch. She's just wanting to be away, outside, somewhere else. And then Mrs. Clark pulls her out of her reverie, and Mrs. Stanley pounces.
Oh, no.
She asks if Beth has had any changes in her condition, and Mrs. Clark asks about any odd sicknesses or odd feelings.
No.
And she tells them point blank, I'm not pregnant.
Leave me alone.
And they're like, you could be. It could be really early. You could be. Because they're imagining a man on his deathbed could have helped produce an heir.
Right.
She tells them with a firmness that implies the marriage bed hasn't been visited for a while.
Okay.
And they're very disappointed.
Right.
And
Because they're
upset.
like, you could still be useful as a woman by providing a child. Yeah.
They have been hoping she's pregnant this
Yeah.
whole time. She's just like, that wouldn't fix anything.
Nope.
That would not fix anything in my life. I would just be pregnant. Mrs. Clark awkwardly praises the cake, and they finally move on. Mrs. Clark invites Beth to a luncheon at her house, and then Mrs. Stanley tells Beth she hopes Beth does a full year of mourning. So now
my
they're
God.
competing. One is like, come out to society, come to my house, come have lunch. And the other one's like, you better be a full year of mourning.
Right. Like,
You better not act like a normal human being. Because they're both just trying to, like, control her life.
Yeah.
Mrs. Clark insists that a luncheon at her home is fine, which then makes Mrs. Stanley invite Beth to dinner at her house.
Okay,
Well,
yeah.
fine. If you're going out, you have to come to my house, too.
right.
She feels despondent at the very thought of all these endless boring dinners and lunches.
Yeah.
Because Harry was the talker, and she could just sit there and think about whatever she wanted to think about.
Oh, that's
and he
nice.
would do all of the talking. And he would make everyone happy and just chatter, chatter, chatter. And she's like, I forgot how painful this was before Harry.
Yeah.
I forgot how I had to go to stuff. Because when Harry was working, he would go on trips and she would go with him. She could use him as an excuse to not go to all of this stuff.
Right.
And now her excuse is gone.
And then even when she did go, he would be with her. And so he would be that buffer.
At these dinners and stuff.
Yeah.
They finally leave because she's like, I'm tired. And they're like, fine. So they finally leave her alone. And she collects her basket with her journaling materials, her jacket, and her opera glasses, and she goes out to do some bird watching. We shift to Anton's perspective, and he's walking a circuit around the city with a backpack full of bricks.
Oh, to like,
Because he's
training.
maintaining his condition,
Gotcha.
yeah, for his expeditions. But he's like clunking around.
It's really funny.
I know. He's walking through Central Park and he sees Beth sitting on a blanket with opera glasses to her eyes. So she's kind of in full mourning. She's in full black.
Right.
And so she's kind of cutting an odd figure to be sitting on a blanket with opera glasses staring at trees. He goes over and says hello, and he wonders about the glasses, and she lets him see through them, and he gets to see a yellow throat in the tree that she's watching and sketching. Anton is seeing Beth in her natural environment for the first time, where she's comfortable.
Right.
And so he impulsively invites her to a lecture that he and Bran are giving.
Nice.
She's not sure about this.
Especially, like, I know that there are all kinds of weird rules around mourning and, like, how you behave and stuff and what you're allowed to go to.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Also, she's being invited by a man she doesn't know.
Right.
Who, the last time they met, was a little rude to them, or rude to her. It's a society event, he quickly explained. All are welcome. It's part of the regular lecture series Bran, Mr. West, organizes there. I seem to recall you and Harry attended a few of them. Oh yes, he loved them. I did too. Ah, there it was. The fleeting smile. He was satisfied. Then you should come. Bring friends. He just wants to be friendly.
Right.
He really is. He feels bad for her.
Yeah.
And he sees that she's lonely. And so he's like, just come to this event. And in her mind, well, if I'm going out to luncheons, I might as well go to a lecture.
Right.
It's full of people.
And at least it's
not a
something
private dinner.
interesting to
and
me.
it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
He asks if she'd read Bran's letter, but she'd completely forgotten about it. And he sympathizes because he sees just the fog of grief.
Yeah.
And he had lost a sister when he was young. So he remembers how that feels.
Yeah.
Anton worries that Beth might notice how close he and Bran are and that they have the same address. So as quickly as they found her secret,
He's like,
he's
"Oh,
now
no."
worried that she's going to find out their secret. So he excuses himself and bids her goodbye.
He's like, well, I gotta go.
Yeah. Beth goes to the lecture, but she really misses Harry.
Yeah.
Because she's just having to do this by herself for the first time. She hates all of the dead birds decorating women's hats.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
And she also hates how people see her full morning dress and they look away. Like, no one's willing to look her in the eye.
Right.
She had read Bran's letter in it, and in it, he had offered to help her continue her scientific work. She's stressed because she's going to have to explain to him that she's already tried.
Right.
And he's not listening.
Yeah.
No one is going to accept my writing. I'm a woman. And she's like, hey, he's just not getting it. She bumps into Miss Harrogate, an older widow who's not afraid of Beth.
Nice.
Because she's a widow and she went through it herself.
Yeah.
Everyone else acts like it's catching.
Right, yeah. Like,
You know?
you're a literal pariah. Like, it's like, yeah.
And so she's an eccentric old lady who goes to these lectures, and so they kind of pal up and go find a seat together. Brandon and Anton give their lecture, discussing the Greenland expedition and the polar bear attack. So this is kind of how they sell the idea of funding the next one, is they
Right.
tell the adventures from the old one. They unveil a life-size painting of the polar bear on a canvas.
Whoa.
All 9 feet long. So they have this 9 feet long and how many feet high that
Yeah.
they had covered with like a cloth, and then they whip it back, and everyone's like, "Oh,
I can just imagine the amount of time to paint that.
oh
is
my god, I
insane.
know."
That guy has been working on it since the moment they got back. Like,
What's really cool is Bran is able to add to the story with a cold breeze with his
ooh,
arcana.
yeah,
And finally, he creates an aurora borealis above them.
the
So,
atmosphere.
yes. And everyone's just like, oh, in love with the adventure and excitement.
Right.
They promise even greater dangers and marvels in the Antarctic. They unroll a painting of a leopard seal, 12 feet long, and Anton shows them a huge skull full of sharp teeth. And everyone is like in awe and amazed. They describe their goals for the trip, trying to like make it to the South Pole, all the experiments they want to do, Bran
Right.
wants to do with his arcana. Beth reflects on the fact that Harry had wanted to go on that trip, and she wonders if she could have let him, because now she's experiencing life without him, and she's like, that would have been dreadful, because they're gone for a year.
Yeah.
Plus. But she also knows that she would go on that adventure. And how could she hold him back? Because she would absolutely go.
Right. It's like,
And she's like, if I was Harry, I would have had to go. After the lecture, we switch to Bran's perspective. He hates having to ask for money because he grew up poor.
Right.
So he is feeling painful. Like, this part of it is painful to him. Anton has the charm and the skills for it. And because he had a lot more money, it's not that same feeling
yeah.
that it is for Bran. Bran has to grin through tedious conversations with old men who talk about rifles and imagine how great they would have been on these
Oh, yeah.
expeditions if only they were younger or thinner or a little more fit, you know.
Yeah.
They could go on these great adventures, but they need money, so he grins and bears it. Montgomery Ashford shows up.
Even his name just sounds like he's a douche.
I know. I love this quote. He kept turning up like mice in the food stores or wet socks.
Not the wet socks.
Bran nearly snarled at him. Thankfully, Anton intervened before Ashford could get in the first word. Anton always swoops in.
He's like, whoa.
Yeah.
He's like diffusing a bomb, but socially.
Bran turns and sees Beth, and she smiles. Quote, he could take this to mean she enjoyed the lecture, which made him puff up a bit.
He's like, oh.
Because he's seen her despondent, and to see her smile, you know, in her
Right.
grief, he's like, she must have really loved it. She compliments him on the special effects and asks if he could tell her how he did the Aurora.
Yeah.
Quote, she had no one to talk to, he realized. She'd had Harry, and now she had no one. He would tell her anything. Oh, nothing I do is a secret. Not really. So he's kind of like a little braggy.
Yeah, he's like, oh, of course.
And also having someone obviously as intelligent and skilled as she is to like remark on it.
Right. Be like, ooh, could you tell me how you do this? Yeah, like.
He turns back to Anton because Ashford is poo-pooing their expedition as so long ago. Like, it was so yesterday. And he declares he's using the most modern equipment environment and science for his expedition. Anton points out that the Inuit have survived for thousands of years using simple tools.
Yeah.
Quote, Ashford shrugged expansively. I suppose you would know more about primitive habits and methods, wouldn't you? Looking him up and down, Ashford raised a skeptical brow. I would have thought someone of your race would be more suited to traveling in tropical lands. Don't you find the cold and ice goes against your nature?
Bruh! No!
Bran is ready to punch his lights out.
My God.
And Anton has to, like, put his arm on him again and be like, it's okay. Calm down. It's okay. And Anton is just like, you know, survival in the Arctic is based on skill and experience.
Yeah.
Things that you don't have.
And forethought, another thing you lack.
And then he very smoothly turns and starts talking to Beth, completely ignoring Ashford.
Oh, nice.
Because Anton knows how to deal with stuff like that.
And he'll hate that because he's being ignored for a woman, too. It's not even like,
He welcomes Beth and asks if she enjoyed the lecture, and Ashford realizes this is Harry Stanley's widow. And then Mrs. Harrogate comes up, and she asks about polar bears, and Ashford tells her that he's funding an expedition, too. Because not only is he trying to puff up himself and be like, I am using better stuff, but he's also using their lecture series to try to raise money for his own expedition.
Yeah, like, it's giving just a little bit like announcing your pregnancy at someone else's baby shower.
Yes,
like,
very much. Mrs. Harrogate is super sensible and is like, why don't you all just work together? But it's obvious these men won't collaborate.
Right, no.
Beth tells Anton that she's going to buy a copy of his book and asks for his autograph. So Beth and Miss Harrogate each go buy a book and donate to the expedition.
Nice.
Because it's obvious Beth likes them and she does not like Ashford.
Right.
Beth corresponds a little bit with Bran and Anton and invite them to tea. She freaks out a little because it's like, oh God, people, oh dear. But then she thinks about, like, Harry would want us to be friends. Anne calms her down, and Beth is just so grateful because Anne is just able to, it'll be fine. You're just having tea. No biggie. And Beth is like, what would I do without you? You're the best. I was going to say,
have we talked about, like, where Anne comes in, like, who she is exactly to
We
Beth?
actually learn a little bit about her now.
Okay.
She's her maid.
Okay.
Beth is like, this is probably dreadful. Like, working for a widow who doesn't have a household to run is probably dreadful. Anne says it's better than working sewing shirts in a factory.
For real.
And she's like, oh, you could do that? And she's like, that's what my sisters do.
Yep.
And Beth realizes that Anne comes from a completely different world from her, too.
Yeah.
At first, tea with Bran and Anton is awkward, but she tells them about the yellow throat in the park, and they finally relax. Bran asks to see her journals, and she remembers that that's how it started with Harry.
She's like, I had another one.
She's anxious about it. She's
That'd
like,
be really
oh, no.
funny if she just tried to use that as a, like...
Well, she doesn't really want anyone else,
right.
So she's like a little nervous about it. But instead, Anton and Bran are, like, complimentary, and Bran says he'll speak to the editor of the Pinfeather and get her essay published. Her essay is on the extinction of the passenger pigeon and how it could reduce arcane taxonomy powers.
Yeah.
Because her point is, like, if we use these living specimens to gain powers, and those specimens are now gone,
right?
How would we have those powers anymore?
Yeah.
Bran is really impressed, because this is a new line of thinking that other people haven't expressed before.
Right.
He also thinks of a woman, Mrs. Agassiz, who was married to a professor and did a lot of writing about his work. And he's like, perhaps there are other women like Beth.
Right.
Other wives of professors and scientists who have a hand in their work, but we never notice them. She feels hopeful and sad because it's like they wouldn't take the essay when it was submitted by her.
Right.
But Bran is pretty sure he can get it published because he's a man and in the society.
It's just like a little disappointing.
Yeah. We shift to Bran, and we learn more about his background. His family was poor, and they couldn't help him make connections he needed at Harvard. He had to work really hard to be taken seriously, which is why he feels so much sympathy for Beth.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't taken seriously, treated with respect, until he worked really hard to prove it. And now he's seeing that they won't even let her try.
Yeah.
They won't even give her a chance. He's also furious at Harry for hiding her and using her.
Right, yeah.
Because in his mind, it's like Harry being a selfish bastard.
Right, and like taking all of this.
Taking all of the glory. Harry got all of the glory, all of the accolades,
and
his
she did
career,
all the work.
And she is the one who did all the work. And he's just pissed off. They had spent a lot of time together, and it was with Harry that Bran realized it and had acted on his attraction to men for the first time.
Oh.
Harry had never expressed interest in women, so everyone was shocked when he married. Harry was charming and handsome, and Bran loved him.
Oh.
Quote, he missed Harry. Harry had been so warm, delightful, funny, a fool and a wise old man at once. The intimate moments they had spent together had felt chaotic and unreal. They had made him dizzy and happy.
Oh.
So we can kind of see why Beth doesn't have kids.
Right, yeah.
And why Harry would leave his lifelong bachelorhood for her.
Right.
Because she was an ends to a means. And having Bran's perspective allows us to see, like, yeah, this was unfair to Beth.
Yeah.
But this relationship with Harry allowed Bran to recognize his spark with Anton.
Ah.
Because Harry had been the one to kind of initiate more of the relationship with Bran. And so now Bran was able to be more confident in his relationship with Anton. And then Harry was like gone and gotten married. And Bran was left really confused because he found everyone attractive.
Oh, okay.
And he thought that he was an aberration because he thought that there was only men who liked men and men who liked women.
Right.
And he didn't realize a man who liked men could marry a woman.
Right.
But he himself feels like everyone is beautiful. And so he's just confused.
Right. And like nobody's talking about it.
And no one talks about this. We're allowed to talk about this. Yeah. We learn a little bit more about Anton's background. He grew up reading about adventurers and he loved them and wanted to join their ranks. He loved Bran because Bran was unpolished and honest.
Oh.
And having grown up in society where everyone had these fancy manners, it just felt raw and real.
Yeah.
After returning from Greenland, Bran's reputation as an arcanist was made after he broke the ship free of ice.
Nice.
So they're able to use their powers to, like, affect the elements.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
And ice is a pretty big obstacle when you're in a ship, like...
Mm-hmm. So this isn't right after they returned from their trip. At the Naturalist Society, a gentleman had come up to congratulate him and Bran is standing there between his former lover and his current one.
Oh!
Quote, Anton could step in and rescue him by introducing himself, but he was rather enjoying Bran's confused moment. The gentleman's lips pressed together, stifling laughter. He had made the same calculation Anton had, and had come to the same decision to let Bran swing a little. Because it's up to Bran to introduce both men to each other, because he's the one who knows each of them.
Yeah.
Bran said, good start, lad. Anton almost told him. Anton, this is Harry Stanley, an old friend, my good friend. Bran was now blushing delightfully, a pink shade under the stubble along his jaw. And they finally introduce, and they realize that this Harry is the old one, and Anton is the new one.
Right.
Harry tells them that he's married, and Bran is like, to a woman?
What?
He's like, that's generally how it's done. And Anton is like, congratulations.
Right.
Because he knows how to respond like a person.
He's like, cool, dude.
And now Bran is reflecting on that time, and he realizes that's when Harry's career took off. And it's like, oh, this makes so much sense now in hindsight. And we follow Beth's memories back into time to a day at an art gallery to see Audubon's paintings. She spends time looking at the birds, and a gentleman comments that the birds in the paintings look dead. She tells him that Audubon usually shot them, posed them, and then painted them.
Yeah.
Audubon used arcana to make his paintings move.
Oh.
So when he was alive, they would walk across the page and he would use them as teaching tools.
Oh.
But when the arcanist dies, his practicum dies with him.
Okay.
He asks if she can light a candle, and she admits she can. He introduces himself, Harry Stanley, and he asks her favorite bird. They meet at the exhibit again, and he asks if he can call on her. quote, Beth wondered now whether she had fallen in love with Harry or whether she had fallen in love with the life he offered. Meeting Harry had been a stroke of cosmic luck that would never happen again. Their shared career had felt like an adventure. And it's just like him taking an interest in her and offering her this. Also, he's being humble enough to offer her this, and he doesn't have an ego around it being her work.
Right.
You know, and so, like, that is just this unique thing that she's like, this is never going to happen again.
Yeah.
And she's just deeply grieving losing everything. Her career, her husband, her life, all of it.
Yeah. I mean, her freedom to travel, like,
all of these things. Later, we follow Bran, and he's at the Naturalist Society waiting for the editor of the Pinfeather to read Beth's essay. Because he got a hold of it, and he's like, this guy will listen to me. He and fellow Arcanists are debating how one could prevent drowning, and if perhaps a marine mammal could provide the necessary arcana. Because they're like, well, these ones can go underwater for this long.
Right.
Those ones can go underwater for that long. And they're like, well, you could use a fish. And he's like, I can't breathe underwater. I don't want to breathe underwater.
Right.
I want to not drown. And so, like, all of those details are just really fun and fascinating.
Yeah.
Ashford butts in and mocks Bran for saying the Antarctic is very dangerous.
How? You silly boy.
And he's like, anyone who's not afraid of that continent is insane.
Yeah. That's like not respecting the sea as a sailor.
Yes.
Like, that's...
But Ashford wants it to be like, I'm not afraid. I am so brave and cool.
Right. He probably uses antlers for all of his decorating. Like...
They discuss how businesses are hiring arcanists, but then their knowledge is proprietary, and the scientists can't write or contribute to public research.
Oh.
So the businesses will hire someone to come do field work, but then they're not allowed to talk about what they did.
Right.
And it's damaging the research and the science around all of this.
And so it's kind of like owning like the intellectual property of that.
And companies want to mine and monopolize these places, and the scientists want pure research.
Right.
Conflict there, and also like a discussion around the ethics of it, and is it right to go and use arcana for some of these things. There's not much incentive for companies to reach the North or South Pole, so like they can't really be used to fund the expedition, but Anton and the other adventurers want to go just for the glory.
Yeah.
Like, they just want to reach the North Pole so they can be the ones who did it.
Yeah, like get their name in the history books, see new animals, maybe get something named after them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bran thinks about how complicated getting to the pole is because compasses stop working, and you have magnetic north and then true north.
Yeah.
He thinks about birds and how they don't need compasses to migrate, and they don't seem to be bothered by the magnetic field.
Yeah.
You know, the way compasses are. He tells somebody to bring him a compass and magnetite, and he focuses on Sterna paradisea. If Bran could insulate them from each other, make the compass like the Arctic tern, unerring in its direction, not influenced by outside forces. Voices around him faded, the room grew quiet. With that quiet, the compass needle steadied, ignored the pressure from the lodestone, and settled on the greater influence of magnetic north. Wentworth gasped, and the other arcanists crowded in to look. Hines crossed his arms. And that, gentlemen, is why Mr. West is a first-rate arcanist. Because nobody had thought to do this before.
Right.
To use the power of birds' migratory abilities.
Yeah.
To influence a compass. Ashford immediately thinks about how Bran could claim to control the magnetic field and stop all shipping.
Oh my god.
He's like, I would never.
And also, that's not what I did.
He says that as well. But Ashford is like, you could claim.
Oh.
You could just screw with everyone.
Right, you could just lie. Why didn't I think of that?
Ashford acts all secretive and thoughtful, and Bran just refuses to engage. Right,
he doesn't want to,
He's like, nope, I'm moving on. And Mr. Endicott, the editor, waves Bran over and tells him the essay is very important, and he will publish it immediately.
Oh, wow. I bet he didn't even read it. Yep.
That's what Bran assumes. He didn't even read it when Beth brought it to him.
Yep.
Bran silently rages at him and is like, this asshole.
Just like tiny fists, like, ah.
Because he ignored Beth, and now he's willing to look at it.
Right.
But he holds his tongue because he's like, I don't need to ruin this for us. Going to be mad. Because he has a temper. He has a bit of a temper. He agrees to finish any other essays that Harry left behind, and he he's, like, holding himself together.
Right.
And he leaves. Anton is writing letters when Bran comes home. Bran pours himself a drink, and Anton can tell he's perturbed. Bran asks him how he'd get to the pole, either one, north or south.
Yeah.
Anton says they'd go in the fall, and then overwinter, then push in spring while the ground is frozen, but they would have light, like with sleds and dogs.
Yeah.
They argue because Bran wants to use arcane powers to break up ice or solidify the ice, and Anton won't depend on arcana.
Right.
So Bran feels like he's not necessary. Like, why do you even want me?
Yeah, like, you don't even respect me or, like, depend on...
If you're not going to depend on me, why are you taking me?
Yeah.
And Anton is like, you're still the best seal hunter I've ever met, aside from, Inuit who live there.
Yeah.
And you always have light. You can always create fire. Like, you're a useful person who I love.
But that can't be the last
I cannot
resort.
depend on you.
Yeah.
Like, as the only source. What if you get hurt? What if you die?
Like, literally, what if I had been just a little later than that polar bear?
And Anton assures him, yes, I'll take you. Yes, we can do this expedition. And Bran's like, okay. That night, Anton dreams of the Arctic, and he wakes up restless. Because he gets irritable when he's been in the city too long.
Yeah.
And they're in New York City. Bran wakes up too and says that Anton needs to get away. They need to get away from the city. They plan to go to Seneca Lake and do some fishing and relaxing. Back at Beth's, her mother comes for tea, and she chastises her for going to that lecture alone.
Ugh. She didn't go alone.
And she's like, fine. If you're going out places, come to dinner at Will, Beth's brother.
Yeah.
Come to Will's, and she agrees just to placate her mother. Like, stop harassing me, fine. I'll come to Will's for dinner.
So even more social events she doesn't want to go to.
Right, because she wants to go to lectures.
Right.
She wants to go learn things and enjoy things. And instead they're like, well, you must come socialize. She gets a letter from Bran telling her that Endicott will publish, and he's apologizing because he didn't believe Beth before, and he's apologizing that it's being published now because he's the one who turned it in. And he just feels bad. He just feels bad about the whole situation. She goes to dinner with her mother at Will's, and her mother tells her she needs to think of remarrying.
Oh my gosh.
And this is like 6 weeks ago that her husband died.
Dude.
And she just wants to be left alone.
Yeah.
She's just like, it's too soon.
And the other
It's too
mom,
soon.
her mother-in-law literally just said you should be mourning for a year.
Yeah. So
Deep
her
mourning.
own mother's pushing her to remarry. And then her mother-in-law is like, you had better not take off that black for a full 12 months.
Whoa.
So everyone around her is just poking and prodding and telling her.
Micromanaging, yeah.
At dinner, Will introduces 2 eligible bachelors who were invited.
It's a setup.
It's a setup. Mr. Ronald Benson
Ew.
and Mr. Montgomery Ashford.
No!
Because Ashford knew Harry by reputation.
Right.
And he's realized he could gain some of that money and stuff
Right.
from her. She is full of rage that she's been set up.
I would be too.
And her family tricked her and didn't tell her.
Yeah.
And she acts polite, but completely aloof. Like, gives neither of them any attention.
Fair.
She's just 2-sentence word answers.
Yeah.
Or 2-word answers. Da-da-da. Done. Ashford tries to find out what Beth knows of Harry's work and what help he was giving Anton's Antarctic journey. So he's in there like, well, can I see it? What do you know about it? Do you know any of this stuff? And she is just really irritated. His mercenary interest grates on her nerves, and she thinks of Dryocoppus pileatus, woodpecker,
Okay, yeah.
and aims it at the leg of the chair he's sitting on.
Nice.
So when he shifts, it collapses, and he's shocked, but he also realizes what she is.
Oh, yeah, that would out you, yeah.
She gets up to leave.
Like, oh no, the termites are terrible this time of year.
Quote, Beth couldn't leave without a word. Will, I know you mean well, but please never do anything like that to me again. Do what? He answered blithely, chuckling as if she had made a joke. Throw men in my path. I'm barely ready to see people I like, much less strangers with designs on me. How dare you? Beth, really, you're being dramatic.
Oh my god.
She stormed out. Like, nobody is taking her feelings into consideration.
Seriously.
At all.
You literally just said you're being dramatic.
Yes. Yes. On the ride home, her mother insists she'll have to remarry, and she wishes Beth had children. Or she could just move back home.
Ew.
And Beth is like, no, no. And Beth keeps thinking, I'm married to get out of this.
Right.
And away from this. Why can't you just let me be a widow? I don't need chaperones. I don't need to live at home.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly capable of living alone and being fine. And everyone's treating her like a child again.
Yeah.
She gets a package from Benson, the other bachelor, and it's a hat with a gull wing on it. She's disgusted, and she just sends it back. Like, this is inappropriate.
Right. It's what she hates.
It's what she hates, and she just met him and gave him no indication of interest.
And also, like, that just sounds ugly anyway to me. Like,
yeah. And she thinks of Harry and how he never really lusted after her like she expected.
right.
And she doesn't know what's going on with him.
Yeah.
She has no idea. She tells Anton and Bran about the chair, and they think that was hilarious and wish they could have seen it.
Yes.
And also how Ashford is, like, trying to court her.
Right.
Bran is offended at the thought.
Oh, Brad
dare
is
he.
offended. Yeah.
She's now worried because Ashford knows her secret, and they're like, you probably shouldn't worry. It'll be fine. Nothing bad could come of this, right?
Right.
Because they're men, and they can't. Nothing would come wrong of them being found out.
For sure.
Anton asks if she's interested in Ashford, and she says she's not interested in anyone right now, which also disappoints Bran.
Like, aw, but dude.
Yes. They see a bird on a tree and they can't identify it. Anton sees how much the walk around the park is cheering Beth up, and he invites her to their trip to the lake.
Nice.
This was the lake that Bran was expecting them to be a getaway for them. And he's pissed at Anton inviting her. Because he's like, we're going to have to take care of her. And she's going to be there. And Anton's like, she needs a friend.
Right.
She needs to get away. She needs something else besides being locked up in her house. And Beth gets very excited because she knows the little inn, she knows the people there,
Yeah.
and it's like late summer, and it would be perfect to go to a lake and get away from memories and grief and people trying to control every little detail of her life.
Throw men at her, too. Like, men she hates. Like, can't imagine.
She thinks of the warbler that they were trying to identify on the tree, and she wonders what species it is. Anne is really concerned and worried about her traveling with Anton and Bran. Because
Right.
these are men they don't really know very well. Also, really bad for her reputation.
Right.
She's just like, no one's going to control me. I'm sick of people telling me what to do.
Right.
No, I'm not going to leave letters for my mother.
Like a little bit rebellious.
She's
in
feeling
it.
rebellious, yeah. Anne asks if she's going to marry again and suggests that Bran or Anton might appreciate her love of birds. And she's
And
like,
a beard.
"That is true." Huh?
Which a beard is something that is like when a gay man would marry a woman just to have that cover. So like,
But she doesn't know that.
Right, that's
They
true.
don't know that. But they're kind of like, Harry was special because he tolerated her eccentricity.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, but they might tolerate. One of them might
yeah.
tolerate your eccentricity, too.
Especially since they were all such good friends.
Yeah. They get to the inn. Mrs. Morgan is kind and makes her comfortable. Anton and Bran fish, and Beth sketches and bird watches, so she's able to actually relax.
And she's like also not like right up on top of them. He's just kind of
They're off doing their thing. She's off doing her thing.
Yeah.
And everyone is able to just go and relax. Anton gets the solitude he needs because he needed to be away from people, away from the city. Anton and Bran find some quiet out in the wood and make love because they get some quiet time. Coming in for dinner, Bran doesn't know how to act around Beth. He's talking to Anton. Should we ask how she's doing? Bran whispered near his shoulder. Or should we leave her alone? Leave her alone, I think, Anton said, amused at Bran's uncertainty. He wasn't usually so bewildered. It would be rude to just walk by without saying anything, wouldn't it? Are you always this dense around women, or just this one in particular? He hadn't often observed Bran around women, now that he thought of it. Unlike some of the men he'd been with in his younger days, he didn't think Bran would ever decide he'd had enough and run off to get married and have a proper life. Bran was just as drawn to the wild as he was. You aren't getting any ideas about her, are you? Of course not, he said curtly. You have all my attention. You know that. So we're already sensing a little bit of jealousy and also a little bit of, like, awkward interest.
Right.
And Anton is, like, feeling a little suspicious because Bran Bran is acting so awkward.
Right, and it's like, you were fine before.
Yes, you've never acted like this before. She sees them, and Bran is like, well, I have to go talk to her now. And
They're just skulking.
Yeah, so they chat, and everyone's, chill and friendly. Another day, they fish from the dock, and she admires them from afar. She likes to do, like, the Homo sapien Taurensis. Like, she's identifying them and then labeling, like, their colors and plumage, and it's very cute.
Like doing a naturalist study.
Mm-hmm. She feels daring. Like, she imagines jumping into the lake and just swimming. She's like, I can throw off all of these things and just be myself. Bran realizes that he likes Beth.
A
lot. And he starts to wonder about Harry and if Harry actually loved her. And then he thinks of them together, and that makes him feel extremely, like, intrusive and awkward.
It's like, oh, I can't think about that.
And he starts to wish he could avoid seeing or speaking to her.
Oh my god.
Like, he's getting a really hard crush.
Yeah.
And he's at that stage of, I don't want to see them
Right.
at all.
It's like, I'm going to do something stupid.
Yes. And this feeling of attraction makes him take Anton to bed to get it out of his system. He's like, I don't want to feel this way about her. Anton, fix it. Fix it. At the lake one evening, he plays with a handful of water, or it might be morning. It's either evening or early morning. And he makes it glow like sunlight, because he sees the water coming off the back of the loons and how it lights up as it's coming off and drops. And he uses that to hold up a cup of water in his hands. It's able to glow.
That's really
And
cool.
Beth was watching him, and she comes up, so he shows her how he did it, and then she figures out how to do it. So they're, like, talking about their abilities and what they can do. And she shows him that she can touch the water and make it freeze 10 feet out, like an inch thick, and then she can unfreeze it and melt it. And they talk about naturalists and animals, and they're just genuinely being friendly.
Yeah.
Like, they're just having a friendly, intimate moment. They go in and have dinner at the inn, and Bran hatches a plan. They could take Beth with them into the Naturalist Society when the Pen Feather comes out to celebrate Harry's final essay. Because he's like, they have to recognize this woman.
Right.
And everyone's like, they are not going to. And he's like, well, if we get her in under Harry's name, she'll at least get to some of it by proxy,
Yeah.
It'll wash over her, too. And she's really nervous about this, but Anton is like, screw norms, because, he's a black man getting to walk in these holes, and he's like, a woman should be able to if I can, Women aren't allowed in the society at all. Even skilled and well-known arcanist Mary Anning, who did groundbreaking fossil digs, and public arcane practica. Like, she was a well-known naturalist who had arcane powers, and she wasn't allowed in the Naturalist Society.
Right.
Because she was a woman. Beth decides to move to half mourning, which is a very dark gray.
Okay.
So everything she's wearing is a dark gray, and there's no feathers or ribbons or anything like that.
Right.
So it's obvious she is in mourning, but she's no longer in full black mourning.
Yeah. It's like a very slow transition to normal color.
Exactly, yeah. And she goes with them to the Naturalist Society. At the foyer, they get stopped, but Bran and Anton sweet talk and bully them into allowing her in.
They're like, oh no.
Because they go from thanking them for letting her in, which they hadn't done, to also saying, you wouldn't deny his widow.
Right. That would be crazy.
That would be so mean. And so they get her in. Everyone stops and stares, then gossips about her.
A woman.
Yeah, and she's left just feeling really vulnerable and uncomfortable. And then Anton and Bran get called to meet a man from the Signal Corps, because that could be a way of getting funding from the U.S. government for their expedition.
Right.
So they go off to talk to him, and she's left completely alone.
That's so uncomfortable.
In this place where no one is welcoming her.
Right.
Or talking to her.
In fact, some people might be thinking, like, ill towards her.
Yes.
Like,
Ashford finds her.
no!
And makes hints that he knows her role in her and Harry's arrangement, and they could recreate it together.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that would go exactly how,
Well, and he has more of a mercenary pursuit because he's not interested in her interests.
Right.
He wants to just use her.
Yeah.
and he asks her opinion on Arctic travel, but instead of having an honest discussion, like, oh yeah, we could do it this way, we could do that way, she realizes that he was just fishing for ideas and information.
Yep.
He didn't provide anything himself.
Nope.
He was just asking to try to gain insight into what Harry may have been telling Anton.
Yeah.
And Bran to do. He leaves her alone, so she's by herself, and she just goes out and gets a cab and goes home. She's like, I'm not wanted here.
Right.
I don't want to be here. Anton and Bran make a good connection with Beaumont from the Signal Corps because it's a worldwide race to get to the poles.
Yeah.
And so if USA can put their pole, their flag in the spot first, that'll make them proud and happy, whatever. But as soon as they're done talking to him, Ashford also hits him up. And then Bran turns around and realizes Beth is gone. And he's like, oh my god, I abandoned her. And he feels really guilty.
I'd be like, oh my god, someone murdered her. Like, where is she?
Beth is thinking about flight and Arctic travel because Bran and Anton are going to Antarctica. Ashford wants to go to Antarctica. And so she thinks about like albatross wings.
Yeah.
And wind and compasses using migratory patterns. She uses a tarns. I think a tarn is a bird, right? I think it's a tarn. She uses a tarn's energy to cause a gust of wind, and it turns a page in a book.
Nice.
So she's like thinking of like how you could use these different things from these animals for the Antarctic expedition. She gets really tired because using this magic is like tiring, and she had a long day at the society.
And she had to see douche nozzle again. So.
Yeah. She goes out to her garden to refresh, and she does an experiment. Holding seed in her hand, she holds very, very still. A finch lands in her hand, and for a moment she can see through its eyes while it flies away.
Aww.
And she's like, that's how you could use flight.
Yeah.
And she's trying to think of how you could communicate across long distances, and she's trying to think of if you could use eyesight from a bird, a living bird, and fly across a landscape and see, like, scout ahead.
That's Assassin's Creed.
And so she thinks about continuing the academic work with Bran or Ashford, and then she decides she doesn't want to write under anyone else's name.
Yeah.
She wants to choose her own new path. Bran goes to the park with his hunting rifle to try to get the bird that he and Beth couldn't identify.
Oh, no.
You can see where that's going. But before shooting it, he realizes she would hate a dead bird as a gift.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
He was going to give it to her as a gift.
He was going to bring the dead bird so they could identify it. He's been around her and paid enough attention.
Yeah.
He finally realizes she would hate this.
Yeah, the not appreciative of the dead things.
But he sees the bird and has a realization, and he marches straight to her house. He barges in, and he ignores Anne, he ignores Beth, and he goes digging through her cabinets in her study. And he pulls out the golden-winged and blue-winged warbler, and they realize they were seeing a hybrid.
Oh, okay.
And so showing her the blue and the gold wings side by side, they looked at each other and they were like, it was a hybrid.
Yeah.
And she asks him to not shoot the warbler, and he admits that he had gone to the park to do that and realized she wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
And she's really glad he didn't kill it. He apologizes for leaving her at the society. I think it was because he didn't shoot the bird. She takes him out to her garden. It is basically her sacred space that even her husband hadn't come out to hardly ever. This is her space. And then she holds the seed in her hand, and he gets to watch a bird eat from her hand. And he can feel the arcane power coming from her interacting with a living animal.
Imagine how easy it'd be to find truffles if you could just, like, communicate with the pig. We'd be rich.
I was going to say, you're going to ask the truffles to come over? Quote, I never bring anyone here. Even Harry rarely came here. This is my refuge from everything. I know you must think this is very silly. Not at all, Bran murmured. I think the world of you. He would not look away. If he were very still, very patient, perhaps she would come eat out of his hand. She approached him, her steps cautious, because he's felt all along that she's very guarded.
Yeah.
And very private. And now she showed him basically her secret garden. Mm-hmm. And he's like, if I'm very gentle, she might open up to me.
Right.
She walks up to him very, very slowly, and she kisses the corner of his mouth.
Aww.
And then she runs away and hides.
Same.
And he goes inside, and Anne is holding his coat and, like, shoos him out.
Nice. Well, he did barge in.
He did barge in. We switch over to Anton, and Anton's father comes to town, and he goes to visit him. His father loves him and is very kind. Honestly, his dad is super cool. He wishes that he would return to England and marry, and Anton realizes how old his father is now, because he's always been able to put it off like, I have expeditions, I don't want to leave a wife and children behind and be gone for years. And now he looks at his dad and he's like, oh, my dad is old. If he wants grandchildren, he's not going to have very long to see them.
Right.
And he thinks of Beth.
Oh, no.
His parents would love her, and he likes her. It would be comfortable, but it wouldn't be fair to Beth, because he actually loves men.
Right.
But she had had that basic situation before, and so she's the one who flashes into his mind when he's thinking of marriage.
Are we building a power throuple? Because it's giving...
We're heading toward a love triangle.
Nice.
Beth goes to that luncheon at her mother's in half mourning, and her mom's shocked. You're in gray? And her mom is scandalized. And she sees a girl, this poor girl, has all these feathers on her hat, and she tries to go and educate her on how they get the feathers.
Right.
And the girl assumed that they farmed them and, like, plucked the feathers off and then let them go, and didn't know that minks or birds died in the process.
Poor sweet child.
And her mother is like, I forbid you from talking to anyone else.
How dare
We do
you
not talk about honest, dark things in this house.
We can't let them know where it comes from.
She escapes and goes to walk in the park, but Ashford is waiting for her.
Oh,
Because he
man.
knows she walks in the park, and he is taken to walking in the park to find her.
He is stalking her, and he is a predator.
Low key stalking her.
Like,
She's feeling hunted and watched.
I would too.
He asks more about compasses and flight and magnets, and she's like, I have nothing else to
I
tell
would
you.
start feeding him false information at that point. I'd be like...
Because initially she thought that, he was interested.
Right.
Or he wanted to discuss this. But he doesn't care about the details.
No.
He doesn't care about the animals.
Yeah.
At one point, someone asks him his favorite bird, and he's like, what does it matter? And the point of the book, like, it comes up several times that a real ornithologist has a favorite bird.
Yeah.
And then a reason it's their favorite bird.
Right.
Anton goes with his father to do fundraising for the Arctic trip. So he's able to use his dad as kind of a way to get into some of these higher class society circles.
Right.
Because his father is knighted, he's able to kind of use his dad as a prop to get a lot more money. And it just makes it a lot easier for him to go talk to these different people. But that means he leaves town for a couple of weeks. Bran starts going crazy without him because he's been having interest in Beth.
Right.
And then taking it out on Anton.
And now he's having a crisis.
And now he's having a crisis because Anton isn't here. He gets a package from Beth. It's a ladies' magazine with an article that she's written on how ladies can arrange bird feeders and make their garden hospitable to many birds, because she doesn't want to publish under men's names anymore.
Right.
And she doesn't want to go where she's not wanted.
Right.
Going to the Naturalist Society showed her she's not welcome. And she doesn't want to marry another man and write under his name.
Yeah.
She just doesn't want to. This article fills him with rage.
Oh my god.
He storms over to Beth's house and tells her that this is a waste of her talents, because he's still dead set on this idea that they could get her published. And she's like, you're not paying attention. Yeah. You can get published. You are a white man in this society. Sure, you were poor, but now you're in. I can never be in.
Yeah. It literally took another man to get my dead husband's work published. That was and then even if she did get published, she would not be welcome in those circles. So much.
Her work would be ignored.
Yeah.
Or plagiarized, and the other guy would get all of the praise.
Right.
So he's just, like, stormed in and is acting ungentlemanly, and he asks her, what would Harry think? Harry isn't here.
Yeah.
He drew back from this, donning a blank inward look, as if he had never considered such a thing. As if he'd been trying to keep Harry alive through her.
Oh.
Because she's like, this man doesn't know me and is not paying attention.
Right.
He's trying to keep Harry alive and Harry's legacy as a thing.
Yeah.
And because I'm the one who wrote, this is how he can keep Harry alive. He asks if she even loved him.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, and she counters that it didn't seem like Harry had loved her.
Yeah?
Bran realizes that Beth doesn't know that Harry was gay.
Imagine that.
Uh-huh. And he tells her this fact in the most delicate way he knows how.
No.
He is able to gently take her to the thought of he preferred men.
I was worried he was just gonna be like, he loved me.
No, but he does intimate that they had had a relationship before her.
Yeah.
And then she's like, they're both blushing and deeply embarrassed.
Like, oh.
But Bran is looking at her in a way that Harry never had. And she asks him if he only likes men, you know, out of scientific interest. And she locks the door. And he shows her that no, he very much likes women as well.
Wow.
And he comes over several times over the next week while Anton is gone.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Yeah, and Beth doesn't know, so she's very happy. Because she doesn't know Bran and Anton are a couple.
Dude, you should have led with that. Oh my god.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yep, so she is thinking, oh, this is a new thing.
Right.
I have found a man who loves me, who knows everything about me. And Bran is just obsessed with her.
Right.
He loves her, he likes her, he is in lust. And Anton is gone, and not there to make it stop. Anton returns home, like, a little early.
Oh, no.
And Bran isn't there. And he hasn't been home. He's been helping Beth with Harry's studies. And he just knows instantly. He just knows. And since he has just walked in with his suitcase, he's already packed, so he walks out.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
No.
And Bran finally returns home to their apartment and realizes that Anton knows. And he tries to use Arcana to find him, but his arcane magic is gone.
What? Is it because he's like all out of sorts inside himself? Okay.
Yes. So he spends the next 2 days searching the city for Anton until he finds him. And Anton is hurt.
Yeah.
He's furious. And Bran is almost sobbing with regret and like contrition. He's like, I'm sorry, I will never see her again. I can't believe I did this. And he's like, well, you can't never see her again because then I could never see her again. And I really like her.
He's like, how dare you? You did this. You ruined a friendship I had. You ruined a friendship you had.
And he's like, if you wanted to have a normal life and marry a woman, she would be a good choice.
Right.
And Bran is shocked. He's like, what? And Anton admits that when his father asked him when he would marry, he thought of Beth too. Bran is shocked about that. And then he tells Anton he'll never let him go.
Oh my god.
And then Anton finally hears him that his arcanism is gone. His magic is gone. They decide that they need to rekindle it and their relationship.
Yeah.
So they're gonna go away, far away, to a lake in Maine, try to rekindle his magic and rekindle them. They're gonna try to get over this.
Yeah.
Beth gets a note saying Bran was going away on business and nothing else. He'd been coming over almost every day and making love to her. And she thought they were a thing now.
He was like full on obsessed.
And he just disappears.
And he still didn't mention. Buddy.
Yeah. So she tries to find him, goes to their apartment, and realizes they live in the same apartment. And then she's like, fuck.
It's like, oh.
They're in a relationship. And she didn't know.
Yeah.
And now she's furious that he cheated on his boyfriend with her.
And made her the unwitting homewrecker.
And he didn't tell her or break up with her or tell her anything.
No explanation.
No explanation. And then he left.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm going to find this motherfucker. There's actually no bad language in this book, but
he has to be
I'm
stopped.
adding spice.
Right.
She uses Arcana to figure out where he went, and she decides she's going to follow him. Screw propriety. She is going to give him a piece of her mind. Anne is like, you really shouldn't do this. This is bad. You should not do this. This is bad. And she's like, I don't care.
Yep.
She takes a train and gets a ride to the inn where they're staying. She books a room and she waits.
Oh my god. That's devious. That's crazy.
Anton and Bran rented a cabin that was like attached to this inn, so it's like just a little further up the lake. And Anton is determined to enjoy Bran while he has him, because Anton is like, this is not gonna last.
Right.
He knows that this is not gonna last, because Bran loves men and women, and at some point Bran is probably gonna want to go get married and have the life, and so he's just like, I'm just gonna soak up every minute and love him while I have him.
Yeah.
Bran throws himself into lovemaking to convince Anton that everything's fine and to forget Beth.
Yeah, I'm sure that's...
Bran's Arcana doesn't come back, no matter how much they fuck.
He thought it was a deficiency.
And they fish and hike and make love, but it's just no good.
Yeah.
He cannot light a candle anymore. And then one evening, they go into the inn for dinner, and Beth is waiting for them. They are horrified.
I really
to
want
see
her to be
her.
able to, like, spin around in a chair like a cat in her lap.
And then the fact that they're so horrified to see her makes her feel really embarrassed.
Right.
And she gets up to go leave.
Yeah,
She's
she's
like,
like,
this
"Oh."
was a mistake. All that rage that got her up there is now gone. And now she's just deeply embarrassed and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And Anton soothes her and is like, it's okay. Come have tea. Come have dinner. You don't need to leave. It's okay. Because he has impeccable manners.
Right. And he does care for her. It's not
And
like...
he
yeah.
does like her. He does care for her. But Bran demands to know how she found them.
Oh my god. This man will not stop until he's wrecked his own life.
I know. I love this part.
Oh no.
She caught his gaze and spoke low, haunting. A witch casting a spell. Strix nebulosa. The hunter's skill and insight. At home in the north. You gave a specimen to Harry. It's got your touch all over it, and I just followed. And she smiled. Also, the spring 1879 issue of the Pin Feather, your annual winter bird survey listed the address.
Nice.
Anton laughed outright, and Bran scowled. Like
Yeah, she's like the perfect blend of them.
She just went through his editorials in the newsletter, and he had this address listed.
That's so funny.
Because they go there every winter. But I just love how she, like, gets him in the first half. And Anton assures her it's okay. Just stay. It's fine. And he's, like, determined to be peacemaker and make
Right.
it work. And he offers to teach her how to, use snowshoes and take her out to the lake. And Bran is just mad.
Yep.
He was trying to fix this with Anton, and now he can't because she's here. And she stays for a couple of days, but Bran avoids her. Like, he just does not go up to the inn. He does not go near her.
He's not doing himself favors.
He is not dealing with the problem.
Yeah.
That is him.
He is acting like a 12-year-old.
Bran finally confronts her, and they argue. Beth, what do you want from me? The smile fell. She drew back. Nothing. Well, no, that's not true. A professional connection? You're my only one, Friendship, maybe? I hoped we already had that. Like, she's confused.
Yeah.
And also, like, he made love to her for a week and then
Right.
disappeared and didn't tell her about Anton. She's just wanting to clarify what they are. Are
Yeah.
we friends? Are we lovers? Are we nobodies to each other? And she's upset, but she's not crying. And he says, you're being very calm. What would you have me do? Cry? Because that's what you expect women to do? Or because you want proof you affected me? Oh, Bran, really? You should know by now I don't cry if I can help it. It's not natural. It's practice. I don't know how to move forward without hurting either you or Anton when I have no wish to hurt either of you. Or yourself. What? And she's like, you've hurt yourself
Yep.
by splitting yourself in half between me and Anton. He didn't even realize that he had also hurt himself by acting with dishonor,
Right.
basically. He didn't act in a way that was ethical.
Yeah.
They argue, and she's upset that Bran is hurt and hurting others. And she decides she just wants to leave. He's not giving her any resolution. He's not saying it's over. He's not engaging.
Yeah.
And she's just done. Like, fine, we're done. So she turns to leave. And Bran is mad, and he looks across the lake, and he sees Anton going around the shore. And he's like, well, if I walk across the lake, I can get to Anton and feel better. and he'd been walking across the lake all week.
Yeah.
But he'd also been cutting holes for fishing.
Oh.
And he'd been walking in kind of maybe the same areas too much. So the lake cracks open and he falls in. Anton is on one side of the lake and Beth is on the other.
Oh my God.
And they see him fall in. And they both rush in and manage to rescue him.
Yeah.
So she's able to make the ice solid under Anton. He has a rope. He's able to go in and pull him out. And they pick up Bran. He starts breathing after they knock him on the chest a bit. And they take him up to the cabin. So she lights a fire and Bran is having hypothermia, obviously.
Right.
And he's not shivering. Like he is.
Oh, that's bad. Yeah.
And so Anton says, take off your clothes and climb into bed with him.
Yep.
And she's like, what? And he's like, it's nothing you haven't done with him last week. Get in and warm him up so he doesn't die.
Right.
And so she climbs in under the blanket.
Which really, if you think about it, like the human sandwich is kind of ideal for this situation.
The problem was that Anton was also very cold because he submersed the top half of his body to go under the ice and grab Bran and pull him out because Bran had drifted enough that he wasn't under the air hole and he couldn't come up.
Yeah.
And so Anton sits by the fire and warms himself up. And then Bran slowly regains consciousness, shakes, shivers, finally warms up. And then he's like confused because he's like, where am I? What are you doing here? And then because they're laying together, he starts like feeling a little too comfortable with her. And then they both realize Anton's there. And everyone's embarrassed. And then Anton's like, if you don't stop, can I watch?
It's like, hey.
And he's like, if you want to continue, I wouldn't mind watching.
Tickets to the show.
Beth and Bran start continuing making love, and Bran reaches out, and Anton comes and joins them.
Nice.
And they have a very lovely little threesome. And then, because the bed is too small for all three of them, they put it on the floor in front of the fireplace and put all of their blankets around and make a little nest. And just all three of them pile up in front of the fire.
3 little lovebirds.
I know! It's so cute! I love it! It's just...
Excellent.
I know. I loved it so much. So much. And so they get him feeling better, and she stays for a couple of days. And all three of them just make their little love pile, and they're just so cute. She finally is like, I need to go home. Like, I can't stay up here forever. People are going to get mad.
Yeah. My
mother's going to be mad. And so she heads home. And they're, like, going to follow in a few days. Because they didn't come together, and it would look better if they went separately. Beth returns home, and she doesn't really expect anything to have come from this trip.
Right.
But her mom comes to see her, and her mom is really upset. Her mom was like, are you okay? She's like, yeah, I'm fine. She's like, what did you do? She's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And apparently there's rumors going around that she went with strange men.
Oh my gosh.
To a lake. And she's like, what do you think happened? And her mom won't say because that's not polite to say. And she's like, are you talking about the Naturalist Society? I went with Harry's friends to go when his last article came out. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And she's like, no, you were gone. You went to a cabin with men. You're overreacting, Mom. Because she knows what happened.
Yeah.
And the rumors are true. But she's also like, how does my mom know? Nobody should know, because, like, how would you know?
Right.
She's able to kind of, like, brush it off and be like, they're just rumors. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know who is telling you this stuff. And she is like, I did go to a cabin. I did go to a lake, and it was beautiful and quiet, and now I came home.
Yeah.
It was fine. And her mom's like, you're never going to remarry if you act like this.
Oh, the
She's
horror.
like, I don't care. I don't want to remarry.
Like, perfect. Now stop bringing that mad.
And she's like, well, come to dinner at Will's. Just come
Not
back.
again.
Yes. You must come back and act normally. And she's like, fine, I'll come to dinner because she's trying to placate her mother.
Right.
I'll do what you want. Calm down. So she goes to dinner at Will's. Will sits down with her on a couch and is like, what did you do with these men? And she's like, I don't have to stand for this.
Yeah.
And she stands up and goes to leave, and they locked her in.
Oh my God.
And Will said, Mother's locked the door, and you can't leave until we hash this out. And she walks up to the door and thinks of termites. And the door breaks.
Nice.
And she goes out and goes home. Her mom apologizes. I'm sorry for, And it's like her mother's apologizing for nastiness at dinner, but not saying what she or Will did was wrong. She's just doing that non-apology.
Yeah.
She invites her to another dinner at Will's, and Beth says no.
Yeah.
She invites her to a dinner at her house, and Beth says no. Because she's not doing this again. She's sick of this. She is tired of being controlled. And then finally her mom, somebody else invites her to speak at a charity luncheon for the Ladies Bird Life Preservation Society.
Okay.
So she's like, okay, I could go give a talk to people who like birds.
Right.
Her mom is also going and says, well, let's just ride together. So she's like, okay, I think if we're going somewhere else, it'll be safe.
Right.
They get into the carriage and they start riding. After 30 minutes of riding, she's like, where are we going?
No!
And her mom says, quote, just be patient, dear. And she's like, Mom?
Yeah, I don't like this.
And her mom is like, it's fine, it'll be okay. And then she's looking out the window, and they're coming up to a large manor house with a large fence around it. They're taking her to an asylum.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, she's not happy. And when she gets out, her brother Will is there, and Montgomery Ashford.
Oh my God.
He's the one who was spying on her.
Oh no.
And he is the one who saw that she went to the lake with Bran and Anton. And he was the one who talked to Will and spread this stuff about her because
he was mad.
Also, he makes clear here at the asylum that if she's willing to marry him, he can get her out of the asylum. He's helping Will put her in because he wants to own her.
That's crazy. I am still drawing a Gaston parallel here. Like, somehow this is still fitting.
I just think of him more weaselly. Like, he's a weasel,
Yeah.
She pulls all of her arcana to try to get away. Mm-hmm. She thinks of woodpeckers and they destroy the carriage. She thinks of hurricanes and tornadoes blow up and blow away. But they drove up inside the gate and the gate is closed. So she's trying to run away anywhere, just run away. And she gets cornered and grabbed by men in white uniforms. And at one point she's running and she runs into an invisible barrier. And Ashford is using Arcana against her to stop her from getting further away. So he's a true bastard.
Oh my God, he's evil?
Yeah.
What?
So she doesn't escape. They grab her and bring her back. And she looks at her mom and her brother. And she says, if you leave me here, I will never speak to you again. And this, of course, is proof of her madness.
Right.
What daughter would say this to her family and her mother? They tell the doctor of the asylum that she's been practicing arcana and doing ungentle womanly things.
Right, and it's clearly done something to her uterus.
There were no children.
Oh, yeah.
Which is hysterical and her problem. Will and her mom go wait in a parlor for a new carriage to come.
Yeah.
Ashford asks to talk to her before she gets taken inside. Quote, may I speak to her? Just for a moment. Ashford sidled up, so casual, so innocent. Only had her best interests at heart. Of course the doctor and nurses let him, and he leaned in, speaking softly, so no one else could hear. Mrs. Stanley. Beth, let me help you. I'll take care of you if you let me. Some arrangement you must have had with Harry. I want to know what you know, and I'll take care of you.
Yeah, and you'll never threaten me with asylum again.
And she says, damn you.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can get you out of here. All you have to do is send me a letter. Because he helped her put her in, and he can help get her out. She looks at him and says, Tinea Pelionella. He's like, what? What is that? That's not a bird. Holes start appearing all over his clothes.
Nice.
Because she invoked clothes moth.
Yep.
And his clothing falls off of him.
Now he looks great.
No, he looks insane. So she is stuck at the asylum for a little while. They put laudanum in the food, and so her brain is foggy. She loses her Latin. She can't think of any of her spells or any of her things. They won't let her have pencil and paper to draw. They won't let her have any books. She needs to sit in a chair and look out the window and be silent, and nothing is exciting. They get plain bread, plain porridge, nothing exciting, nothing interesting, and it's just dreadful. She's there for a little while, and then she comes up with a plan to escape. She learns the routine of all of the people, she learns where the stuff is, and so one night she freezes the lock, so when they go to turn the key, it doesn't move, but they're like, well, we can probably fix this tomorrow. That's fine. You're not going to cause any trouble, right? Because she has been a perfect patient for the last week or two. She has behaved impeccably. She gets up and the lamp is out and she's able to go get her things. She finds boots and a coat and she walks out and she has a key to the gate that she had found. She unlocks it, gets out, throws the key far away, and she walks to the little nearby town and is able to get on the train. She gets Anne to bring her a suitcase with like stuff she needs because she needs money. She needs bank ledgers from her husband, so she has cash and access to his bank accounts. And instead of just shipping it to her, Anne shows up and she's like, let me come with you. Like, you need somebody to take care of you. And she's like, no, I cannot let anybody know where I'm going. Nobody can know where I am. Yeah. They will not let me alone. If they locked me up over this, they're never going to let me be. Right. Especially once she escaped. They're going to know she can escape and
send her somewhere worse. Like,
And so she just completely goes underground. She heads west. Nobody knows where she is because she doesn't tell Anne. She doesn't tell anybody. Bran and Anton didn't know any of this was happening because they left the lake a few days later. So all of this happened either before they got back or not long after, and they hadn't made it back to see her.
Yeah.
And Anton goes to visit her. The house is completely empty. Like, it's gone. No one is there at all.
Yeah.
Later, he's like, well, surely there's a housekeeper. Right. Surely the housekeeper will come back and someone will dust it and clean it. And when he finally comes back, he catches Anne and she bursts into tears and is like, she's gone. Because this was right before she escaped.
Okay.
And she's like, I don't know where she is. She just disappeared. And so everyone is just completely like, what happened?
Right.
What's going on here? Bran is sick because he fell into the lake and breathed in, lake water and got hypothermia. He now has a really, really bad, like, some kind of respiratory virus or something, so he has a really bad cough and a really bad fever. Anton is trying to balance finding Beth and taking care of him and hoping he doesn't die.
Right.
And now he's like, how can I tell him that she's missing? Because that could kill him.
Yeah, seriously.
And Bran is like, well, we have to find her, and they don't know how to find her. They send letters to all of her correspondence. They try to put, like, articles in the magazines she loves. They also get stalked by the Pinkertons, because the Pinkertons also have arcanists. So there's, like, a crow that they use to spy on them, and it comes and sits on the ledge, and Bran sends, like, a mockingjay to go and chase it off.
Nice.
Bran gets better, and then they have to figure out this expedition because they got invited by the Army Corps. They got invited to come up, make their spiel to get money for this expedition.
Right.
They're like, okay, we gotta get ready for that. We're trying to find Beth. They get an invitation from Beth's mom to come over and kind of talk it out. And they go over and they're like, why are you spying on us?
Yeah.
And it was Will's idea to hire the Pinkertons. Of course. Because they assume that Anton and Bran know where she is. And they're like, we don't know. Yeah. If you call off your guys, we could maybe find her. But we're not going to tell you where she is. And her mom is like, she can come home and we'll forget all about it. Basically. She's like, we'll just forget about the scandal because her being missing is a bigger scandal than her going away to a cabin with two men.
Oh my gosh.
And her mom is just obsessed with how bad it all looks.
Right.
And they are just furious with her mom for doing that to her and just disgusted, they finally agree to, like, not call off the Pinkertons, like, leave them alone at least.
Right.
They go to the Signal Corps and get ready to give their presentation. They have their stuff and their budget and what they need and what they've done. So similar to the lecture, but more technical.
Right.
And they get ready to go in, and Ashford Montgomery shows up because if they're gonna get sold on an expedition, they might as well have both done at the same time. Anton has a really good spiel. He has done cold weather expeditions many times.
Yeah.
His time in Greenland was not the only time he's gone to Greenland and done other Arctic expeditions. So he's able to tell stories, and like when they have technical questions, he can tell them, you know, what he would do. Ashford's is a lot more pizzazz and splendor, you know, because he is less about the technical details. He's more about selling a show.
Yeah.
They finally are like, well, which one is the better Arcanist? Prove which one of you guys is better. And that makes Anton and Bran annoyed, because it should be who's the better planner.
Right.
But if they're going to have to do it, they're going to have to do it. Ashford goes first. He's able to create like the feeling of a storm in the room, and he makes lightning sounds, but without the flash. Bran uses his trick where he can freeze time. And so he's able to freeze time and run around the room and put their expedition papers in everybody's hands and sort out the desk so it's tidy. And he gives Anton a kiss on the cheek.
Nice.
And they are very impressed by him being able to freeze time, because that's much more spectacular than making a loud bang.
Right.
They get the money for the expedition, but Bran is still coughing.
Yeah.
And it's been weeks. And it's a deep, hard cough where he gets bent over and he can't catch his breath. And he's like, no, I can come on the expedition. I can do this. I just need some time to heal. And Anton calls a doctor, and the doctor says, you need a dry, warm climate.
Yeah.
You need to rest and heal from this. And he's like, but I have an Arctic expedition. And he's like, well, I can't tell you what to do, but that might kill you.
Right.
Because, you know, no antibiotics for this, for pneumonia.
More cold air.
More cold air. Bran is just so torn up because he desperately wants to find Beth, and he desperately wants to go on this voyage.
Yeah.
They've been funded. They're going to have to set a date. Anton finally says, you're not going. And that allows Bran to feel upset, but also not responsible for not going.
Right.
And he tells him, you know, take so-and-so at the society. They finally find a clue to where Beth is, because they had been following newer journals on like birds and stuff, and she had written a article under, I think it's Clark Stanley, so her two last names, but nobody else knew her as a person, and was looking for her this way. And she lives out in Colorado Springs.
Oh.
And they're like, hey, warm, dry climate.
Right.
Exactly what you need, right? And so they take the train and they go out west. Bran is trying to use Arcana to find her, and Anton leaves a message at the post office.
He's like, we'll do it the
We're just going to
way.
do this the practical way. And then she gets their message and leaves her address and directions to her cottage.
Yeah.
And so they get horses and they go up to her cottage, and she's pregnant.
Oh.
They go in and they're like shy, and they're like, really? And she's like, yes. And she never wants to go back to New York. And here she has a new life. Nobody has expectations about her. She makes her own tea. She lives near like some other little houses where people make food and stuff, and she's able to study. A local college allows men and women to join, and they asked if she would teach classes on birds.
Wow.
And she's writing under a pseudonym to these birding magazines.
Right.
And she's able to study. She has all of these new birds she's never seen because they're out west and not in New York.
Right.
And she's really happy. She's just really, really genuinely happy.
Aww.
And she's like, I think this is a good place to have a baby because Harry's mother won't have her claws in it.
Yeah.
Beth can name the baby whatever she wants, raise the baby however she wants. Bran decides to stay with her.
Aww.
So Anton goes on his trip to Antarctica.
Right.
And they stay together, and she has a little baby girl that they name Ava.
Aww.
And then the book ends when Anton comes back from his trip and they wait for him on the pier in New York. They see Anton and they meet on the pier and they see little Ava who's like a little toddler. And it's so cute! Oh my gosh!
And they're happy!
And they're happy!
They just wanted to be happy! And they're all roommates!
I just love it. Oh my god. I think the second book in the series is based on the daughter.
Yeah.
And I haven't read it, but I want to.
It's so cute.
I love how human every character is.
Yeah.
It kind of wears on you doing bad books all the time. Like, we've talked about this a couple times, me and Bam Bam. It changes your perspective on what a bad book is because we have done books from the depths of hell.
Yeah. It moves the midpoint.
It shifts the Overton window so far. That Twilight was a good book by our standards.
Oh, look, quotation marks that actually close.
Yes. Characters that are named.
Yeah.
Things happened. So reading this book just was like the perfect thing for me this summer. I think this is coming out this fall. But this summer, when I first read this book, it was just perfect.
Yeah.
It was all of the beautiful things that we don't get in the books we do regularly.
Right.
Because, yeah, Bran was impulsive and had a temper and also didn't know what he wanted.
Right.
But he's also Pan.
Yeah.
And his character is very Pan. And he just loves everyone and wants everyone.
Right.
And he cannot choose. You know, Anton just being the perfect gentleman and just loving so deeply and hurting so deeply. And then, you know, Beth is just such a beautiful character. If you liked me telling the story, you should really read the book because
Yeah.
I skip so many details. I skipped a lot of the world building. There's so much in it that you would get in a reading, I think, that it's just perfection. I
Yeah.
just loved this book.
It sounds like a little treat.
Yes.
Like it's very like it's like a palate cleanser and like just sitting there with a cup of tea.
The bad guy doesn't win.
Oh, my
Our main
God, the
characters
bad guy.
are not bad guys.
I want the next book to be about the bad guy losing at literally everything.
And I know I've read a lot over the years. I don't think I'd ever read Love Triangle Turns into Polycule.
Right?
I
I've
don't
heard
think
jokes about it being done.
Right.
I've never heard it actually.
I love the way they
Yeah.
pulled it together in this. It was unexpected. I haven't read as much queer novels and literature as I wish I had.
Right?
Now I read so much bad literature that I don't have as much time to
Yeah.
read fun, beautiful things. But yeah, what did you think?
I really liked it. It sounded like just, I don't know, just like a really rich kind of like a chocolate. It's just like a
So
a
much depth.
re-envisioning. Yeah.
A lot of depth. And I just love how she pulls the scientific names into it, the historical stuff. I love the magic
Yeah.
system that's used. Yeah, no notes because
Yeah.
it's just beautiful.
It's good. It's a good book, Brett.
And I knew where you're getting a science degree, you
Yeah.
would love this.
Yeah.
And I loved it, and I thought it would be so fun to just love it together.
I'm really sad Aldo Leopold's dead because he would also. I don't know if he.
I don't know what that is.
Be really funny.
So, yeah, I hope you read this book sometime when you,
Yeah.
when you have time after you graduate.
Someday.
Someday soon. It won't be too bad.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was The Naturalist Society by Carrie Vaughn. If you loved this telling, please read the book. Buy it on Kindle and read it because it's just gorgeous. It was what I needed. And if you didn't like all the gayness, too bad.
Sucks to suck.
So, yeah, we'll catch you next time and hope you come back for bad books and now good books.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.